Hey guys, so welcome to Music Mondays, which are miscellaneous music themed content because I am a singer and working on being a songwriter. I've written a lot of lyrics, but we're working on the producing aspect. So I guess songwriter, technically. Anyway, those will all come out in due time. In the meantime, again, just miscellaneous music content on Mondays, which is super exciting. Today, we are listening to the Midnight's album. I have restrained from listening to it, and I'm just so excited. I think I should start with the anti-hero music video because that looks so exciting. So let's dive in. I also love using this filter. If you've seen my content, you know that, but I feel like it's on theme. It has almost like a 70s vibe. Okay, can we acknowledge that the face she makes when she acknowledges the ghost is like the same face that she makes in that clip of her songwriting in the piano, and then like the window closes and she just goes, "Ghost." It's the same face. That wasn't even dialing that phone. That was like one turn. Should just say everybody is a sexy baby? I'm so confused. I'm sorry, who is disgusted to see Taylor Swift? What is that face that everybody at the dinner party makes? Nobody would make that face. I mean, like, I get you can feel that way, but girl. She is so beautiful, though. The line, "It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero," is she saying to her fans that it's not worth rooting for her if she has all this going on? Also, the little scene with the weight and the scale, like, there's been little passing comments throughout her career that that's something that she's dealt with, but I don't know. I feel like it's so overlooked. Also, the fact that the internet and feet are a thing, and she just put that in there. There's just so much to unpack here. Okay. The people at her funeral that are just there for content. My goodness. So vain. Well, there's so much to unpack here, but honestly, I just think that it's incredibly introspective. First of all, I do applaud her awareness of how her kids could turn out and, what that she actually leaves in the will. And I think it's very clever and funny the way that it was scripted. But yeah, I think that out of all the versions of herself, you have the good, and then the, partier, and then you have the larger than life Taylor. I think that her awareness and, again, introspectiveness really makes her that good person through and through. But I can see where there can be like insecurity and I think an acknowledgement of the parts of herself that feel fiction, that feel larger than life, that feel contrived, commercialized for others, for society, that feel unattainable, untouchable, that fishbowl that she talks about, I think. And, also the extremes of indulging in things and, whatever her experience is, I think it's just the awareness of it and the conscious choice to act in what feels right with the awareness of all is really all you can do in her circumstance. So I applaud her. But I think that since the last album, I am hurting myself right now. Since the last album, so many of her fans have used that, like, I'm gonna be in my Reputation era right now audio, and I have as well. And I think it's that villain era that women feel like they're entering by integrating their dark feminine, by no longer chastising themselves, contorting themselves in the shape of something lovable, putting the parts of themselves on a chopping block to fit what works for others, and leaving nothing true and authentic behind. And so when somebody actually does love you, it's like it's not even you. And so I think that we're all feeling this very like anti-hero that's like, maybe I'm the bad guy, but I tried my best. Yeah, so I think this is incredibly relatable. Okay, let's click on these lyric videos. My Spotify wouldn't load, so I'm on YouTube. You said I was freeloading. I didn't know you were keeping count. I feel like that weighs really heavy on my generation, just with things feeling so unattainable on the journey to independence and adulthood nowadays, that I don't know, everything's become so sterile business exchange, and it's not. I feel like with the climate we've established, that my generation really hasn't even lived for a time where things were okay for people, and it feels very hopeless, and like, you know, life goals seem so unattainable. And then you have this like generational trauma that my generation's unpacking, and there becomes this like coldness, and again, sort of like a business exchange between the generations, instead of I just genuinely want to care for you. So I don't know if that's what she meant, but I feel like that is incredibly relatable to most of her audience at this point. By the way, this is high infidelity. I also find the like dancing around the truth bent it too far. I think that that's really poetic, because I think that I find myself in that trap where, again, I think we come from a very empathic generation, because in the exclusion of mental well-being and psychological well-being, emotional health, and all of that, to build our society the way it is throughout the last, you know, couple hundred years, sorry, I had a pop-up, you know, it's led to our parents' generation being the last ones to really benefit from this financial culture we've established, where they got to be entrepreneurs and artists on mass scales. But there was also like a lot of neglect from their elders to build a society like that. And so there wasn't that emotional communication. And so it developed a very narcissistic generation of nobody's going to be there for me, I need to be there for myself, which, you know, had this big boom, but then it all just kind of came crashing down for millennials and Gen Z and all of that. And again, Gen Z never really got a chance to even see anything thriving. And millennials had the rug ripped out from under them, where it was like, okay, well, it's your turn now, but all of a sudden, no. So I think that in Gen Z, you see this either being nuts or numb as a common theme, but I think we're also very empathic and sensitive, because we had to do that contorting. We had to be enough to deserve anything. And again, that feels very like hopeless, to sacrifice all of one's lifetime, life source energy to contort into some shape that's enough for people and still barely get your basic needs met as a human being. Like, you know, like food, water, shelter, love, affection, attention, things for survival. And on top of that, any like individual desires seemed out of the question. So as much as like we want to do what's so strictly morally right, and be good enough, and, you know, not lie, not do the wrong thing, you do have this dancing around the truth just to survive. Put on your headphones and burn my city. That's spot on. Also, I think this like headphones but vinyl, like this back and forth between times, and that like this revival of vinyls, and that she's using that as merch as well, is like, I think it's very clever, because I think that Gen Z has this tendency to reflect back on the past and try to learn as much as we can, because we want to understand how we got here. How did we get this far? How did it get that bad? And I think things like vinyls, or like even in the early 2000s, like Polaroids were super trendy. I think it's this that's not a word, romanticization, words, of everything, of academia, of music, of life again. So, you know, we can start to enjoy life. And I think that this was actually a debate I had earlier today. I think a lot of people misunderstand Gen Z, that we are absolutely willing to work hard, or to do things that aren't fun, or to do the dirty work, or the jobs that are miserable, or whatever. But with like the price of gas or the price of an apple, like actually affording like a car or an apartment or anything seems so out of reach. There is this sort of acknowledgement of how our society's been functioning to get to this point. Like, look, very simple. When's the last time you saw a hearse? No, bodies are in, you know, trucks you see driving down the highway, or in California, they're using like vans and stuff, because we're hidden from our own mortality. It's sacrifice your life source energy, sacrifice your lifetime, be pacified by the short dopamine responses of media, and give me all of your resources so that I can have a shallow idea of power. So it's not a entitlement or a greediness. In fact, it's an awareness of society's entitlement and greediness. I think that my generation is very mindful and just wants to have a life well lived, which is why I think they're going back to dressing up and creating art and trying to study things, even if they're not in school or can't afford school, or don't think it's worth their time. And we're valuing experience over having something on your resume again. And that's, you know, even in politics, you see every time there's some sort of election, it's always like, oh, they worked for so-and-so, they have this on their resume, they went to this school. And I'm like, I don't care. What are the issues and what do they think about them, you know? So yeah, I think that little like nod to something that's had a revival is really cool too. Do I really have to chart the constellations in his eyes? The poetry, Miss Swift. My goodness. I mean, name a more beautiful way to say, do I need to read your mind here? Do I have to try to decipher how you think and feel by just looking in your eye? Like, who thinks like this? This is incredible. There's like eyelashes upside down because I'm using a filter. This is great. Dragged my feet right down the aisle. Also, I think that she, in the last couple of albums, has expanded from writing just from her own experience, but stories that she's told or that she's been told. And I think so many of us experience this sort of, I think, being in the trenches of doing all of this work, of pioneering this work that's been put on the back burner, but has been essential for humankind. It's just been neglected for so many generations, is why exactly my generation is so fearful of like starting a family or having kids, and is like the most socially awkward and isolated really ever. I mean, not ever, but like in the last several hundred years, we have like online dating apps and still don't talk to each other, because we've gotten to a point where that like emotional intimacy is so incredibly foreign, which is why it's so incredible that we have these open dialogues about mental health and therapy, although the mental health industry, as well as the U.S. educational system, really needs to upgrade, because they are not great at their job. But it's why I personally am really passionate about making education accessible and validating people's experiences. But yeah, I think that I don't think people, again, even in relationships, very comparatively for jobs, I don't think it's an over romanticization. Am I pronouncing that right? I think it's not wanting that like fear, that anxiety, that knowing that things that are truly unaligned and then just trying to make it work. Willing to put in the work when somebody's actually like calming to your nervous system, makes you feel safe, actually puts in effort, cares about you and who you are and what you need. So yeah, I'm literally like 1 minute into this song. These lines are now my everything. At the house lonely, good money. I'd pay if you just know me. Seemed like the right thing at the time. Holy fuck. Okay, just cut open my heart and deliver it to America, Taylor. Holy shit. There's many different ways you can kill the one you... I mean, is this song my new anthem? I'm gonna start crying. Oh my god, Morgan, breathe, 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 breathe. The slowest way is never loving them enough. I have written so many songs in the last couple of years, and I have never gotten... Like, I have spilled my soul in my music, and I have never felt more understood or explained in a song than I do right now. And I didn't write this one. What? The slowest way is never loving them enough. I mean, like, I cannot, after a decade of psychological healing and studying the mind and generational work and all of that, I still can't explain or articulate the pain that fundamental neglect causes and how it fucks every system, every belief. It develops what your ego is. It makes you think you're not worthy of anything. Oh, people greatly misunderstand even their micro, like, I always use this analogy with my best friend of neglecting your damage is not just, oh, you'll never heal and it will, it will be what it will be and whatever. No, every single time you have even the slightest interaction with somebody, it's like the wound, if you don't tend to it, if you don't care to it, it's not that it will just like heal in time or maybe it won't heal or whatever. No, it gets infected. It makes every relationship in your life worse and it makes you worse. And then you infect literally everyone you ever come in contact with. Oh my God. Do I really have to tell you how he brought me back to life? This is all my generation fucking wants. I swear to God, it's like, I mean, that's why we keep doing this work in order to feel enough or to feel worthy. And then when you finally get there, you realize you were like always worthy. You were just like actually being prepared for being equivalent to the love that you actually deserved because you were so broken. But oh my God. Oh my God. I'm obsessed with this song. Put on your records and regret me. Oh my God. The sassiness. This is exactly what I want to say. Your picket fence is as sharp as knives. Really just trying to sell that American dream and being like, that sounds painful and not for me. This line, rain soaking, blind hoping. You said I was freeloading. I didn't know you were keeping count. I feel like that's all I need to say. To everyone. Oh, you were keeping count. They were. My goodness. Bravo. I mean, Taylor, do you hear me? I'm obsessed. I'm just gonna listen to that every day and cry. Oh my God. Morgan, we are 2 songs in. Now for You're on Your Own, Kid. Time to relate too hard and cry. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that you never cared. Oh, baby. You're on your own, kid. And she comes in real quick with that second punch. You always have been. Oh, ooh. Just get you in the feels, okay? I feel attacked. Just to learn that my dreams aren't rare. I mean, we really all want the same things when it comes down to it. You ask why enough times, they all want the same things. Oh, Taylor. The blood, sweat, and tears, and that I hosted parties and starved my body like I'd be saved by a perfect kiss. Taylor, honey. It's so sad because so many of her fans have had that experience and they looked up to her and she was just a kid having all those same experiences and girl. Also, we all, gosh, we're all kind of taught that like fantasy ideal and we used it as escapism as our predecessors have as well. But then when we got to do the work, we realized we needed to do the aligned action, but we also needed that escapism to cope and the balance of believing in things and like not being ready to act on them, and how again this media that's not only motivating us and giving us something to hope and believe in is also distracting us from ever taking action to begin with. It's, oh my God, so many things. I really like that though. The pages turn, bridges burn. Everything you lose is a step you take. I've written a lot in those common themes about like, yeah, I burned the bridges, but you handed me the match. I've written a Turning Page by Sleeping at Last is like one of my favorite songs. I feel like it sounds like my soul, and I gave a little nod to that in something I've written. And Everything You Lose, I've written and actually spoken a lot because I've been filming like what my lyrics mean, kind of videos behind the scenes. And I've written What I Chose to Lose and the very long history of that one line. And yeah. Wow. The Make the Friendship bracelets, Take the Moment and Taste It. Again, I think this is like what my generation lives on, is like we may not have much and we can have aspirations and have no idea how to make a solid plan in this world to make that come true, but we're taking every action to align and to try again and to try harder. And really in the meantime, life is happening now. Life is not something you work towards in the future, you hope to be good enough for. And I think, you know, that's a huge theme that she's saying here, that, you know, all of these scary and sad things she went through as a kid was to be enough, and now there's a sort of like mindfulness of like, well, life's right now and I'm enough right now or I wouldn't exist, and so let me really truly enjoy it and celebrate life with the ones I love. So it's those memories of those friendship bracelets that make everything else worthwhile. You got no reason to be afraid. You're on your own, kid. Healing my inner child right now. You can face this. really so many of us have taught ourselves everything we know, and still it's so hard to like, I'm sorry, I'm like talking really loud when the music's playing. It's still so hard to like answer all the questions because sometimes you don't even know what to ask. My goodness. Well, that was everything. Okay. So now we would've, could've, should've. I don't know, I said we, but would've, could've, should've. These candles. If I was some paint, did it splatter on a promising grown man? The way we like pedestal men and chastise women for just trying. This, again, chef's kisses all around, Taylor. Ha! And if I was a child, did it matter? Nobody's gonna yell at him. But if you paint splatter, how effing dare you? Bravo. Absolutely bravo. If you got to wash your hand, girl! If you never would have looked my way, I would have stayed on my knees and damn sure would have never danced with the devil. At 19. And the God's honest truth is that the pain was heaven. And now that I've grown, I'm scared of ghosts. Memories feel like the weapons. And now that I know, I wish you left me wondering. How do you poetically illustrate trauma? Just play this song. Oh my God! This is like aggressively attacking every single feeling I've ever had. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to articulate all the feelings that are coming up. If I never blushed, they could have never whispered about this. Because, I mean, yeah, women have to be the villain, right? It can't be that she was a child and everyone has these feelings and nobody, I mean, especially in America, we're like the most for and against sex in the world. Like everything, like sex sells, but then like how dare you, and like let's never actually teach anybody about their feelings or their safety. And oh fuck. And because she was a kid who showed feelings when a memory was triggered, then all of a sudden, right for the chastisement. I mean, oh my God. You're a crisis of my faith if I only played it safe. Also, I don't think a lot of people nowadays are talking about like the implications of religion in adolescence, in these kind of dynamics in this world. Also, I don't know if this is specifically about her or a story of somebody else, but I'm saying I'm sure she can relate to it. The line, memories feel like weapons. I'm literally just gonna be quoting this album in the captions of my Instagram for like the next year. You okay with that? The line, I miss who I used to be. I have some notes for a song where I'm talking about nostalgia, and I think growing up in the early 2000s, especially being so heavily influenced by the 90s, I think commercialism was at its peak, and again, we romanticized that, and there was like these feelings, like, I mean, good marketing, people sell feelings, not the product. And like, I wrote so many notes about like, you know, like the spike of like Vampire Diaries and Twilight. I was like, I want to dress like some vampire's girlfriend, like some Hollister Abercrombie stuff, like that smell, that like just the nostalgia of all of it. And I remember growing up and I had this idea of what high school and what love and what life could have been. And for me, it ended up being a journey of healing from abuse and not going to a traditional school but an art school, and I never had those football games or anything traditional. It was a very small school, and the one I was supposed to go to was like hundreds of people, big cafeteria, prom, all that. I did have prom, but I did not go. And yeah, the line, like, I miss who I used to be, I've noticed that I miss what I thought I could be when I was a kid. And I think I try to find myself like grasping at that, especially now that I'm like in Florida. I very much miss New England and Massachusetts, and I'm like, I just want those like sweaters and that like cologne smell and pine trees and like the crisp of leaves, and it's really that simple. But wow, I regret you all the time. The door don't close. I keep on waiting for a sign. Literally all of us, every day. If clarity's in death, why won't this die? Living for the thrill of hitting you where it hurts. I'm sorry, I also don't know if I'm speaking with like vocal fry or anything, because I'm like I can't hear myself talk when the music's playing, which is not every update, but like half of them. Give me back my girlhood. I mean, sweetie, it was mine first. I remember being like 6 years old, and I was like called in my soul to perform, to create, to sing, act, dance, all of that. And I just didn't have the best people, and I was begging. I was like, one audition, bring me one place, like help me in one way. And not to say that like if people couldn't or chose not to, that they're not the best people. They were not the best for other reasons. But I remember one thing that they used to say was like, kid performers sacrifice their childhood. And I was so aware of the abusive circumstances that I was like, I already am. Might as well get a head start on the life I want. And that wasn't really a great seller, as you can imagine. But the feeling of like, give me back my girlhood, it was mine first. I feel like so many of us were like, okay, so now I'm an adult and really never got to be a child. Also, my friend and I used to have these conversations all the time, like especially when we're like 19, 20, like, you know, a little bit after you're like 18 and you're supposed to be an adult. And we're like, so nobody's going to tell us anything. And like there were, you know, parts of us that were less mature because we didn't have that like nurturing. And then there was parts of us that far surpassed, you know, all of our elders because we worked on them or we developed them out of a necessity. And so we're just like, oh, so everybody's just kind of like bullshitting in. Nobody knows what they're doing, like yada, yada, yada. And there are like answers, but we were just never taught so many. It's just, it's kind of a shit show where you're just like, okay, so I'm just an adult now and people have these expectations of me, but nobody ever taught me a damn thing. Okay. And very similar to that, like if I'm already sacrificing my childhood, why can't I do it for my art? It felt very like, well, now I'm no longer a child and I didn't learn how to be an adult, didn't get to actually be a child. What was the point of any of this, you know? Now, Midnight Rain. Whoa. I love her, like, imagery. How she says things. It came in like a postcard, picture perfect, shiny family, holiday peppermint candy. But for him, it's every day. And I think that is, I don't know, I think it's a tug where I experience, but I think so many of us do, where like as women, we're in this like desire to be equal and we're making our own name, as she said. And as much as we like want love, the simplicity of a family is, I don't know, I think we crave this sense of home, of safety, but then we also have this like ego attachment to constantly needing to evolve, constantly needing to self-improve and self-analyze and be enough. And And I don't know, something is so comforting but so unsettling, and I guess depends on the person, but yeah. I mean, I definitely have the same thing where I'm like, I want that consistency, that intimacy, that structure, that home life, to be with somebody where family matters. Because for me, not just like my opinion, but my experience, it hasn't. But then on the flip side, acknowledging that you have been the only person that's ever been there for you. So as much as you want to make space for this person, it's like, I don't want to lose who I worked so hard to become and who I'm so proud of being. So how can these two realities coincide when you've never had that before? The life I gave away. I guess sometimes we all just get what we wanted. And he never thinks of me. Except for when I went to... You know, I do agree with her though. Like, I think there's millions of different kinds of love, but if you two really aren't thinking about each other, with the exception of these moments, then it ain't it, sis. I really love the poetry here in Mastermind because it starts with all of these classic lines that we're told of fates, of aligning, of moments, of touches, of glances, of feelings. And, you know, we're really sold that that's how love is. But I was actually referring to Eliza Schlesinger's comedy routine on this just the other day, where I feel like as women, so much of like how we get ready, how we hold our posture, how we articulate, how we find the light, how we make sure we're like in your way and then look away. Like, it's so incredibly contrived. This is like, we are masterminds. Like, it's just like, as much as, yeah, everybody wants to just like be seen, be found. I don't know. It makes me think of the Charlie's Angels that was released in 2019, which I think was magnificently done by the female gaze, and I very much want to be a part of like continuing that particular storyline in any capacity. Honestly, I will get coffee. Like, that was a great movie. But in the beginning, she said, "I choose to make you notice me," and he goes, "Oh no, that was God's gift to you." And it's just like, I feel like a universal just, like everybody moaned, everybody's eyes rolled. It's like, smile, sweetheart. It's like, you really don't get the female experience whatsoever. Like, no, it's completely calculated. It's like a stupid ass mating ritual. Another reference I think is important to mention is is Marilyn Monroe, and that story of, she was with her, I believe it was her stylist's wife, and they were out in New York and nobody noticed her in her jeans and t-shirt, and then she was like, "Do you want to see me become her? Do you want to see me turn it on?" And then all of a sudden everybody realized it was Marilyn Monroe, and it wasn't even like she like put her shoulders back. It was an energy. It was like this is who I am, like, pay attention to me, you know? And we as women have to continuously evolve and add these skill sets and these behaviors, and like the amount of like understanding of human psychology so many of us have as just like a baseline survival. It's incredible. But yeah, all the wisest women had to do it this way, because we were born to be the pawn in every lover's game. Oof. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Strategy sets the scene for the tale. I'm the wind in our free-flowing seas, and the liquor in our cocktails. See, I think it kind of scares people, the line, the first night that I saw you, I knew I wanted your body. Like, nobody believes that women have the audacity or like just as much of a, like a direct, strong desire, decision. Like, nobody ever wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since. That is, ladies and gentlemen, truly the key. I had an experience very similar. I felt like very like gaslit and misunderstood. And that kind of misunderstanding created limiting beliefs in my relationships with my teachers and elders and peers and students and people my age. And I got horrifically bullied through all of school, moving to every town because of what I thought of myself. I was so scared to show my true self, and I thought I'd be misunderstood and I was projected onto. And you know, my particular experience goes deeper than just like generational trauma or isolation or gaslighting, but even in just those alone, you choose every single part of who you are, and none of it comes natural. Like, I distinctly remember in third grade, like, choosing what my penmanship would be, choosing how I would walk, choosing my posture, how to articulate my words. I would see people in media being perceived in a certain way, and I was like, clearly I'm not getting my message across. I'm being misinterpreted, misunderstood. I'm being cast as the villain and I'm the child. And I want to be seen for who I am. And so I chose every part of who I am. And wow, just wow. To make them love me and to make it seem effortless. Also, I've had the same kind of thing where I thought everything would be like this song and dance, like until recently when I realized like things like a wedding would be a celebration of you and that person and nobody else really matters. For so long, I thought the inviting a family, which is something I no longer want to do, was to say like, see, I am good enough and this is what love actually looks like. This is how I should have been treated. And to quite literally do a song and dance as a performer, I wanted to sing a lot of things and kind of tell my story. And I was like, they're not even making the effort for themselves to like heal themselves or better their lives. So they won't for me, and definitely won't if I like force them. So like, none of this is worth my energy or time. This is the first time I felt the need to confess. You know, I feel like I'm at that place in life too, where all of this really vulnerable content that I'm making is kind of a confession of how I've felt for the last 2 decades. And it's more so, again, to validate people and to make what I had to learn on my own accessible for people, as opposed to saying like, this is how much it sucked, like this was my experience, like, you know, telling off those who won't listen in the first place. It's more like, this is my truth and I'm proud of who I've become, and I just want to do anything to make others not have to feel this pain in this way. So also, I'm gonna change this just because I think now that the light's different, the blinking might be a little aggressive. And I swear I'm all in cryptic and Machiavellian because I care. It's literally all of my writings like cheeky humor or like really clever like disses almost, because I really care too much. That's so funny. I laid the groundwork and then saw a wide smirk on your face. You knew the entire time you knew I was a mastermind, and now you're mine. Okay, wow. I really loved that. Okay, we already listened to Antihero. Vigilante shit. I've been looking so forward to this. I can't wait to hear what it's about. Sometimes I wonder which one will be your last lie. Say looks could kill and I might try. I don't dress for women. I don't dress for men. Lately I've been dressing for revenge. I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends. right, pop off. Ooh. Good. Pop off. Picture me thick as thieves with your ex-wife. Although I do have to say one thing. In certain states, it is very challenging for a father to get custody, even if he's much safer. Just throwing that out there. We have this theme of just trusting women, and I agree with it, but again, it reminds me of a Eliza Schlesinger part of one of her routines where she said, like women, she was like, I can show up to a preschool with a raccoon on a leash in a hospital gown, and the kids would be like, hi lady, you have a weird dog. And men, all you have to do is like cut your hair wrong and you look creepy. I get that, but I think reading into the psychological situation a little bit more, the safety of the child legally might be a more responsible thing to do. From personal experience. But again, I don't think that a casual outside viewer could always pick up on some of the things that may be happening. Also, I'm loving this moody light, but we might need to add a light soon. I wanted to sit here because I wanted, as time to go by, to go from like the blinds in the curtain to all these twinkle lights, but now I'm getting a little bit in the shadows here. Someone sweet and kind and fun. The ladies simply had enough. Oh, the FBI. I don't trust for villains. Oh, we're for innocents. I'm on my vigilante shit. I mean, Taylor. All right, and now we're on to glitch. Ooh, I like this. Okay, you can't start a song with we're supposed to be just friends after Mastermind, where clearly you've set the intention here, girl. I mean, this might be somebody else's story, but situationship. I love not only this like all this like almost techno and retro and all the things involved, but there's this like dong of a guitar string in the back, and it's so good. In search of glorious happenings of happenstance on someone else's playground. It's been 2,190 days of what? Of our love blackout. Ooh. A brief interruption, a slight malfunction. I go back to wanting dudes who give nothing. Ooh. I thought we had no chance. And that's romance. Let's dance. I mean, to me personally, things I was picking up energetically as I was listening, it was giving very Loki at one point. It was giving very Nikki DeMar at one point. I liked that. Okay, now Bejeweled. I've heard little people using this audio for their little Instagram videos, and I've tried to skip over them because I wanted to listen. Baby love, I think I've been a little too kind, girl. I've been there. Didn't notice you walking all over my peace of mind in the shoes I gave you as a present. Oof. Oof. Putting someone first only works when you're in their top 5. Oh my god. You know the classic where they're just like, I felt he found all my letters and read them out loud. This is what this album feels like to me. Familiarity breeds content. Don't put me in the basement when I want the penthouse of your heart. Whew. Baby boy, I think I've been too good of a girl. Did all the extra credit and then got graded on a curve. Sum it up, don't you? I think it's time to teach some lessons, girl. I made you my whole world. Have you heard? I've reclaimed the land. Some guy said my aura's a moonstone just because he was high. And we're dancing all night, and you can try to change my mind, but you might have to wait in line. We still have so many, guys. Okay, dear reader, get out your map, pick somewhere, and just run. Dear reader, burn all the files, desert all your past lives, and if you don't recognize yourself, you've done it right. My goodness. Never take advice from someone who's falling apart. Bend when you can and snap when you have to. Say it louder for the people in the back, girl. You don't have to answer just because they asked you. Please, just teach the women of America. Girls, nobody tells you these things because they want to take advantage. They want to know all the things you're thinking and feeling and all the things you know so that you can just take all the advantage. So don't answer just because they asked you. We're always like so equipped to oversharing and just anxious and fill that silence. The greatest of luxuries is your secrets. This is literally a lesson I'm learning right now. Like the amount that like I overshare that I'm like, here's everything I've been through. Is it enough? Like, whew, girl. Also, like after you just like rip open your soul, like everybody's on their own ego shit. Like they really don't care. They just move on. When you aim at the devil, make sure you don't miss. Can I tell you the amount of times where you're fighting this uphill battle and you're just like just trying to do the right thing, just trying to take any shot, and then it's like, it reminds me of the Thanos thing, like you should have gone for the head. It's like, took all my strength and I did the right thing and then it didn't matter. To a house, not a home, all alone because no one's there. Where I pace in my pen and my friends found friends who care. Oh my God. No one sees when you lose when you're playing solitaire. I think this is honestly the game that we're all playing. Like we're so scared of like being vulnerable or acting on the things that we truly care about, because if anybody were to see us fail at the things that matter to us, it would be absolutely devastating. Again, with this like attachment to self-worth with everything. Also, I like that she said, but I shine so bright after you should find another guiding light, because I think that that's the misconception. Like we're so like confident, bold, like shiny thing. But it was because we had to be for our own survival. So it's not like we never feel like we're that good or enough, even if we're like the loudest in the room, you know what I mean? I also think it's incredibly powerful that she moves from saying you should find another guiding light to just repeating you should find another, because it's dropped the metaphor. Okay, bigger than the whole sky. I really love these titles. I love this parallel that she's saying coulda, woulda, shoulda again. You know what this song makes me think about is how dangerous it is to try to settle and make something work, because how long do you commit and then you're taken for however many months or years of your life, and to be that vulnerable and to put that much effort into something and have it rip away. I mean, like that really is the hardest pain. Wow. Okay, karma. If you dare, you'll see the glare of everyone you burned to get there. It's coming back around. I love me and karma vibe like that. Ask me what I learned from all those years, what I earned from all those tears. Ask me why so many fade, but I'm still here. Girl. Karma, bitch. Karma is the guy on the screen coming straight home to me. Bitch, I need that tattooed. Okay, the Great War. I really like all of this tomb and death imagery. It's clearly like a rebirth for her, and I think there's a lot of going in and rectifying all that she's lived through. Took the battle underground, and maybe it was ego swinging. Flashes of the battle come back to me in a blur. I have had PTSD flashbacks, like someone returning from battle, and it's scary. I think honestly it might be even a little bit more scary for those observing it, especially if they don't know what it is, because it's not like you have a memory or can tell them like, oh, I'm experiencing this again. It's just experiencing it, so you just start like freaking out and reacting the way you would if you were living it. But it's not like there's even like a memory or physical sensation. I mean, for some people there is, but it's just like you're there, but you're not even there, so you have like no context of like why your body just started like freaking out. It's a lot. I vowed not to cry anymore if we survived the Great War. I have goosebumps. I'm shaking. You see this? Maybe it's the past that's talking, screaming from the crypt. I mean, that last verse of like the night I nearly lost you. The music. There's no morning glory. It was war. It wasn't fair. I vowed I'd always be yours if we survived the Great War. Right, maroon. Carnations you thought were roses, that's us. That is so clever. I wake with your memory over me, that's a real fucking legacy. I've also written something called Scarlet Room, so it makes me think of that a little bit, but all of the like marks on my collarbone, the wine, the scarlet, my cheeks flushed, it's giving very much 50 Shades, and that might just be because I'm reading it currently, so it's on my mind, but wow. The power of stopping the music to say to leave. Ooh, when it says so scarlet, and then it like the volume like brings in it was maroon, like ooh girl, it was ooh lavender haze. I was gonna say I believe it is the name of the drink that I keep getting, that you're seeing in the Divine Diaries, the purple drink that I get when I go to breakfast, but I believe that's actually called Purple Haze because I don't think it's lavender. I think it's because of butterfly pea tea, but it is purple. I'm damned if I do give a damn what people say. This is giving me very, you're turning violet, Violet. The only type of girl they see is a one night or a wife. Oh. I find it dizzying. They're bringing up my history. You weren't even listening. When I tell you, like when people put you on the spot, it was like, I worked a decade to get to this understanding, and I can't just like articulate trauma like on the spot because you want to get it in a Reader's Digest and not put in any work. And the amount of like deer in a headlights anxiety, and then also literally that's also what I daydream about, like romantically. It's not like all this like, oh my god, weddings. It's like somebody who like can actually pick up on like how you're feeling or how people are triggering you, and it's like, hey, you okay? Let me calm your nervous system, give you a hug, give you an escape. Like, oh girl, you weren't even listening. He's not it. 1950s shit they want from me. Get it off your chest. Get it off my desk. Okay, sweet nothing. The fact that she knows exactly where this pebble is from, it has me thinking of, I think it was my first Divine Diary episode. I picked up a little stone at the, what is it called? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. At the Peace Pagoda, and put it on those little rock towers. But also the first day I saw Dylan on that trip, which was the first time in, oh gosh, I don't even know how long. I think it was 2 years. I found this beautiful pebble or little like river stone on our hike, and I said, I love this stone because it's beautiful and it reminds me of right now. And he was obsessed with that sentence, and he was like, I've never heard a sentence that's more us. That's adorable. And yeah, so I love this. Does it ever miss Wicklow sometimes? My stone misses Massachusetts because I do. They say the end is coming. Everyone's up to... I hope so. Let's start switching timelines here, folks. I found myself running home to your sweet nothings. I tell you right now, if somebody was like, let's move back to New England, start a family, be creative, make art, write, experience life, live happily ever after, in a mother effing heartbeat, drop everything. I have no ties. I'd leave everything back. That's what I'm working for. Like, that's literally what I'm working towards. You're in the kitchen humming. All you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing. On the way home, I wrote a poem. You say, what a mind. This is literally a conversation between my best friend and I. This happens all the time. Same. Just writing, my notes app is just hundreds, and they're like pages long. Industry disruptors, soul deconstructors, smooth talking hustlers, outcladding. Oh, the voices that implore, you should be doing more. To you, I can admit, I'm just too soft for all of it. Oh my God. Oh my God! I mean, that was aggressive, but seriously, Taylor Swift, just climb into my brain box, transcribe every thought I've ever had, and then tell the effing universe. My goodness. There's also something that feels so like homecoming, like reassuring, like things are gonna work out and you'll be safe and at home again soon with the song. I don't know if that was her intention, but it's what it makes me feel. I started humming when it said you're in the kitchen humming. Question is up next. Oh my goodness. Because I don't remember who I was before you painted all my nights a color I've searched for since. Oh my goodness. Have you ever had someone kiss you in a crowded room and every single one of your friends was making fun of you, but seconds later they were clapping too? I'm not going to speak for every girl, but every girl wants that, where it's really like the simple moments when you're just like, this feels safe, this feels right. And it's that like knowing when something's not okay. It's reaching out, knowing like how you want to be contacted or nurtured or touched, and when, and all of those kind of things. But this is one of them where nobody else matters. It doesn't matter who's in the room. It doesn't matter what they think. That one of my favorite lines from one of her previous albums was, everybody thinks love's for show, but I would die for you in secret. It's that where, you know, everybody's like so showy, and I get it because we get inspired. Just like art, just like fashion, just like any self-expression, we see what resonates with our soul by seeing what has worked for others. But it's when not a single other opinion matters, when you don't even remember they're in the room. Like, that was a joke that my best friend and I talk about all the time is you want that feeling between, I don't know how to act right in public with you, and you make me feel so safe and calm my nervous system. It's that cocktail. That's the one. And it doesn't mean it's not without work. Every relationship is work. Just like unconditional love can have boundaries and should have boundaries. All right, Labyrinth. Ooh, I was gonna say the "it only hurts this much right now" is what so many people need to hear, but the fact that she said is what I was thinking the whole time is like, really, when you're in the thick of it, you keep trying to give yourself these reassuring things, but it is like you're in the pain. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? Oh, baby. You would break your back to make me break a smile. Oh my God. You know how much I hate that everybody expects me to just bounce back. I'm just repeating lyrics at this point, but my God. I don't know if she took any notes from neurodivergent TikTok on like this, like where the sound's coming from and how we just have this like very overstimulating experience of music that we're truly like within it. And so when we have that kind of like surround sound, things peaking, things layered like that, it's just a whole like experience for us. And then she ties it together with this like modern retro theme, and it's just so beautifully done. So, by the way, I'm on Paris, but this privacy sign on the door and on my page and on the whole world's romance is not dead if you keep it just yours. Girl. The shade, not the kind that's thrown, but the kind under where a tree has grown. Baby. I want to brainwash you into loving me forever. I mean, it's a little much, but girl, we all have those days. Last, but certainly not least, the only collaboration on this album featuring Lana Del Rey, Snow on the Beach. Which honestly is my kind of beach. Do I live in Florida? Yes. Life is emotionally abusive. Time can't stop me. Excuse me, camera interrupting me. Time can't stop me quite like you did. I'm unglued thanks to you. It's like snow at the beach. Weird, but fucking beautiful. Aurora Borealis. I've even written about this. I want to see it so bad. I've never seen someone lit from within. My smile's like I want a contest, and to hide that would be so dishonest. My feelings. It's fine to fake it till you make it. Baby, it will be true. Weird but fucking beautiful. Life. Yes, it can, girl. It can be real. Cutie! Oh my god. Okay, so wow. Lots to unpack there. I also really love that Snow on the Beach ended with this like kind of magical, almost Christmassy sound, like a Christmas movie magic. Oh my goodness. So this was everything. I can't wait to use it as my emotional regulation freestyle dance music for the next 6 months. Listening to it all every day and unpacking new layers and feeling all of my feelings. But wow, there's so much here. I mean, this is my first reaction and now I'm exhausted and hungry and just beside myself. Thank you for gifting this to us, Taylor. And thank you for watching and spending your lifetime and life source energy, or a little bit of it, here with me. I am so beyond grateful, and that is never taken for granted here on this channel. I hope you enjoy the first ever Music Monday. It was a lot of listening. It was a very long time. I've been here for hours, and I have to edit all this too. So, but but I love it. I love creating and music and doing what I love, and thank you guys so much for allowing me to do what I love. So I'll see you guys in the next video.